anybody else comes in, they can come in. The room is unlocked. Today we are going to be continuing the relationship series, day 2. So, the first session we talked about pretty much the single season and loving yourself, your relationship with yourself and God. Today we're going to be talking about your relationship with other people. Um, so I know it says marriage on here. Some of us are young, so the words marriage and relationship, I kind of switched them out so you can kind of just apply it to where it fits for your life. So let's get started. Father God, thank you so much for waking us up this morning. Thank you for filling us with your love, your grace, your peace. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for never giving up on us. So therefore, we cannot give up on ourselves and others. Thank you, God, for just pouring into us continuously and teaching us and molding us to be who you have called us to be. Today, I pray that this word touch each and every one of us and help us see relationships and even ourselves differently, God. I pray that you are the head of all of our relationships and you lead us to greatness. All right, so let's get started. Let me share my screen. And then y'all already know, if you guys have any questions, comments, and concerns at any time, you can always use the hand tool. And then you'll have the floor. All right, so I actually wanted to start off with a question before we even get into it. I just want to see where where y'all minds are at. So, why do you think that marriage isn't valued nowadays, like in today's society? Why do you guys think that people don't um, get married as much as they used to back in the day, or even just value it as a whole? Good morning, Jada. We just started. I just prayed, and then I did ask the question. Since today we are um, on day 2, so we're going to be talking about dating and marriage. So I know some of us on this call, a lot of us aren't married, so we can use the words relationship in place of marriage. Just kind of make it fit to you in your life. So the question I asked that I would like participation on before we start, just to kind of get the ball rolling and to see where everybody's head is at, is why do you think marriage isn't valued nowadays? Does anybody want to take that question? Go ahead, Marnie.
I think marriage is not valued because culture wise, society wise,
Mm-hmm.
it's designed for that. Marriage is a symbolization of union, strength. God created it Himself on purpose for two people to become one and to create life. It's a lifetime partnership, and so if you can break up anything that's unionized that was of God, that's an accomplishment. It was designed that way. The children, there are no good examples. The children are not. Um, it's like they like with anything,
They don't
it's
have role
trendy
models.
to leave. You know what I mean? It's trendy to 50-50. It's lack of roles, not
Right.
knowing your role. A lot of the, not just the men but the women, you know what I mean. We don't have a lot of the old school, like grandpas and
Exactly.
fathers and things like that. We don't have that now. No big mamas nowadays. That's very, very rare. And so when you look at everything as a whole in this world, not just marriage, relation, it's even just the terminologies. We are very trendy here on earth. And so the social media influence, the bag, the tapping, the popping, the everything is trendy, everything is following. Um, and so we don't have a lot of the Bible studying at home like we used to. And a lot of us don't know God like we used to. And so we're a lost culture. And so we jump in and we jump out. I was watching on YouTube, Miles Monroe. He is an amazing educator. He passed on though. And he was pretty much referencing to marriage and what it truly is. And if you
Wait,
are
are you gonna get
single,
ahead now? Cause I want you to say a lot of stuff that we could get into.
oh no, yeah. So I'm gonna cut right. He was just pretty much saying like if you're married, and then if you're single, he gave great examples. You can look it up yourself. I'm not gonna go in. But it's a lot of trend. It's a lot of trend and things that we're not doing. And parenting as well. I think that's a thing. A lot of the parents are
Yeah,
lost or
you
crashed
touched
out,
on a lot
overwhelmed.
of stuff. So
Go
we
ahead,
go
Daph.
get to all of that. We go get to all of that. So yes, definitely. Good morning, Divine. I'm gonna just repeat again. So today we're on day 2. First we were talking about the single season, the relationship with yourself. Today we're talking about the relationship with others. Now, like I said, I use marriage, but you can also switch that word out for relationships because I know a lot of us are not married. So we can just switch those out to apply to your life. If you have anything to say, you can always raise the hand tool. Now, this presentation is kind of long. Y'all know how I get when my brain starts going. So this one is kind of long. We can just see how far we get with this, and then good morning, and then kind of go from there. All right. I don't know where Denise. Somebody text Denise. Okay. So yeah. So the first question was, why do you think marriage isn't valued nowadays? Right. Okay. I want to actually chime in and answer the question really quickly. I think that it's not valued nowadays because one of the stuff that Marnie said, and then also because I feel like we don't really have, well, actually a lot of reasons. Not gonna lie, like she said, we don't really have the role models. Society tells us that it's not important. It's just a sheet of paper, and then also we have gotten comfortable with um, doing marriage things in relation and um, what's the word? Not being married. So we in relationship with these people, but we're treating them like they're our husband and our wives, if that makes sense. So for like a lot of stuff like living together, cooking and cleaning, freaking on each other, all that type of stuff. I feel like that is for marriage. And like she was saying, like marriage is actually really spiritual. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand that, or they don't pay attention to that fact. That's why sometimes I get confused. Well, marriage nowadays, like it's a business thing too. I guess it can help you out on paper, financially, whatever. But if you're not really spiritual, or if that's not really your goal, to look away on paper, I don't really understand why certain people get married, because marriage is spiritual. It's literally a spiritual covenant. That's what God intended it to be. So if that's not something you're trying to do, then of course, and you pursue marriage, of course, it's not going to look right, or because that's not how it was designed. So I genuinely feel like a lot of people, marriage isn't valued is because you do all the things in your relationships now that you would do when you're married, and then you get married, and then you want it to change, or you expect it to feel different. But why would it feel different if you didn't already, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I feel about it. So marriage is spiritual. Relationships don't work because they're built on sin. The foundation starts off shaky. Many marriages break down not because of lack of effort, but because of an attempt to live a Christian life without the gospel. set boundaries, and be intentional. So, um, just some more questions to kind of get your brain thinking. Why do some people think marriage is just a piece of paper? What does it mean to build love on Jesus's words and not just my own expectations? What is my marriage slash relationship or my idea of it based on today? Feelings or a covenant? What storms are currently testing the foundation of our relationship or your relationship? How does my faith affect the atmosphere in my relationship? You can apply that to yourself. So the last three questions, you can just kind of ponder on it and apply that to your relationship. Again, it doesn't have to be a marriage, but your relationship with other people. Think about those questions. You can screenshot it, write it down, do whatever you got to do. But I guess I was going to ask and open the floor to the first question or the first two questions. Why do some people think marriage is just a piece of paper? I guess I kind of already hit on that, but if you want to add to that, you definitely can. And what does it mean to build love on Jesus's words and not just your own expectations? Does anybody want to take one of those two first questions? Good morning, Denise. Go ahead, Mom.
Hey, Denise.
I'll touch on it real quick. I think a lot of people feel like marriage is just a piece of paper because that's the way that the married people treat it. Like you see people out here not disrespecting their marriage as if it's not spiritual, as if it's not a vow before God, as if, their partner does not matter. They're out here moving as if they're single. So I think that those people are treating it just like a piece of paper. And then the people that are seeing them behave that way and know that they are married, that's the idea that they're getting as well. I think that, let me see, what's the second question? I don't have my glasses. Read the second question.
What does it mean to build love on Jesus's words and not just my own expectations?
So with that, real briefly, I think that a lot of people don't view love or treat love or act in a loving way according to Jesus's definition. Like y'all said, I think a lot of people don't even really know what love is. Everybody thinks love is a feeling. So when they start feeling good or feeling lustful or feeling happy or getting attention, they think that's love. I think they confuse all these different emotions with love, and they think they in love, and then that's what they act on, when really love is deeper than that. Like you said, love is spiritual. Love is I don't want to say compromising, but Jesus said you're supposed to treat the people you love like you treat yourself. So a lot of people are not going around doing that. They're treating people like they want to treat people, but they not treating people the way they would want to be treated. Love is an action.
Right.
They're not acting in a self-sacrificing way for that person. They're acting in a selfish way. A lot of people are doing the opposite of what love is and calling it love.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how people who don't know God say they love somebody because God is love. I agree. Go ahead, Lexi.
Yes, I agree. I feel like my mind is going so many different directions with this second question. But I agree with everything that everyone is saying with the first one and everything that was just said. First thing, I feel like a lot of people are doing things in their own way, in their own will. And that's where a lot of the rockiness and people are going based off of how they feel and not based off of what God says. And that already is leading to the destruction of a lot of marriages, and just people are not even they're not being led by God. They're being led by the world. Hold on, let me read the question again because I just thought about a bunch of stuff. What does the like what was said? People don't know what love is. Let me gather my thoughts.
Okay.
My mind is everywhere right now.
All right.
But yeah,
Raise your hand when you're ready.
yeah, people are not submitted to God's will or even know what marriage truly is. Yeah. I'm gonna gather my thoughts and then I'm gonna speak.
Just come back when you're ready, girl. It's okay. But yeah, I definitely agree with you and what everybody else is saying as well. All right, let's continue. Jesus concludes the Sermon on the Mount with the image of a house built on a rock. Both houses experience rain, floods, and winds. The difference is not whether there will be storms, but what the house is built on. The same is true of marriage. Everyone experiences hardships. The question is whether there is a foundation. Storms do not destroy a strong house. They only show what the foundation is. They only show that the foundation is solid. Sometimes a crisis is God's invitation for you to return to the basics and build again on the rock. Love is preserved not because of a happy character match, but because of obedience to Christ. He is the rock that holds the house together despite everything. At the beginning, almost all relationships look promising. Love, plans, shared dreams, but over time, burdens come. Fatigue, conflicts, financial pressures, changes, losses. Exactly in these times, it becomes clear what the house is built on. Jesus says that a house built on a rock is a life built on listening to and obeying his words. It is not enough to know what is right. We must live by it. It is not enough to quote scripture. We must allow it to shape our reactions, words, and decisions, especially in conflicts. The spirituality of marriage is measured not by the number of shared prayers or Bible readings, but by whether the person feels safer, warmer, and more secure with you. And this goes for men and women. Whether they feel the blessing that comes from your relationship with Christ. Go ahead, Lexi.
Okay, that's part of what I was hitting on. When we are doing things in our own way, and we are not submitted to God and being obedient to what God is saying and telling us, that's where we go wrong in a lot of these relationships from the jump, because a lot of the times God has already given us directions, but we go with what we feel, and we think that we love and that we want certain desire certain things based off of we go with what we desire and what we feel like we love based off of what we want. But a lot of the times it's not what God has or wants for us. So a lot of the things are built on the wrong or a rocky foundation because we're not in alignment with God's will. And yeah, that's what I was getting on, and you kind of just touched on it. But I guess the hardest part is to deny your flesh and to deny what your desires is, and to ask God to take away your desires unless it aligns with his will for you. And that's where the tricky part comes, because a lot of people are not willing to die to their flesh and to submit all of their desires and all the things that they want to God, and allow God to direct their path and allow God to do it, because God sees everything and knows everything, and He's the all-knowing God. He's the author and the finisher, and He sees things and knows things that we don't know. So a lot of things we think that we want something, but God sees ahead of that and sees beyond that and knows that, like, no, that's not for you, my daughter. That's not for you, my child, my son. That is, I have greater for you. But a lot of the things we think that is love, or we think that, oh, this is my husband, this is my wife. But God's like, no, I got something greater for you, but you just need to be obedient to me and not go for what you feel and not go for what you desire, but just completely submit to me so that I can direct your path.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I agree with everything that you said. All right. So, is the foundation steady? In your relationships, any of your relationships, ask yourself that question. I feel like to have a steady foundation or a solid foundation, you need communication. You cannot be in a relationship and you don't know how to communicate and they don't know how to communicate. It's just not, it doesn't work. And then also, I feel like communication is nothing without understanding. Y'all can be talking at each other, but if y'all don't have an understanding, then your communication isn't solid as well. You have to trust the person. Do you guys trust each other? You cannot have a relationship with anybody and you don't trust them. And then also, like we kind of talked about in the first session, being healed. Are you healed yourself? You need to be healed first before you try to go into a relationship with somebody else. So I just wanted to touch on the heal part briefly because, like I said, we kind of talked about it the first session. But before you cuff, check your scars. Are they still bleeding? Healing isn't about perfection. It's about being present enough to notice where you still hurt and inviting God into that space. It's allowing God to do surgery on your soul. Real healing happens in quiet moments, when you stop numbing the pain and finally let Him in. Many of us have mastered the art of coping. We smile while we're hurting, serve while we're struggling, and perform while we're breaking. Coping helps you survive, but healing enables you to live. Matthew 11:28 is an invitation. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Jesus invites you to heal more deeply, not just cope. Here's the beauty of our God. He specializes in broken things. He doesn't pretend the break never happens. He steps into it. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. That's Psalm 34:18. Healing is messy, slow, and sacred work. But as you surrender to God's process, He transforms pain into purpose and wounds into wisdom. That's Psalms 147:3. Verse 3. All right, so think about these questions. What wounds might still affect how you love others? How have you been coping instead of healing? What would change in your life if you were completely whole? So these are kind of personal questions. You can kind of think about it yourself, write it down, or if you would like to share, that is also encouraged. Would anybody like to share and take an answer to one of these questions? Raise your hand if so. Go ahead, Mom. Don't be shy, guys. This is an open space.
I just want to answer the second question briefly. How have you been coping instead of healing? I think a lot of us, myself included, cope by dating people or going out when we are bored or when we are lonely, instead of just taking that time alone with ourselves. I think sometimes just taking, if we feel like it's taking too long, we will do things that we know we should not do. We will entertain people that we know we should not be entertaining. Like I said, maybe because we are bored, or maybe because we're lonely, or maybe because we don't want to deal with the healing part, because the healing part can be difficult. The healing part can be lonely. The healing part can take a long time. So we get antsy and we get to doing other things and not just sitting in that and doing that deep dive into ourselves and doing that work that is required to fully heal and move on.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to share before we continue? Oh, go ahead. Marnie, do you want to go?
Oh, dang. I'm sorry. I was on mute. I do agree with what Kwana said. I also know that a lot of us cope. I know I have experienced this overworking. I'm not a going out person. I don't like to go out. I overwork. You know what I'm saying? So I know that that's not healthy either, because if you delegate your time every second of the hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes towards something, it can be extremely overwhelming. You still have to leave time for God and rest. And so, overworking, although it could be looked at as being productive, it's a burnout.
Yeah.
And so it's a distraction, you know what I'm saying? And you are still a human being, you know what I mean? Your body, you're not a machine. So you cannot delegate, you know what I mean? Like it's not good. It's not good, because it's only so many hours of the day. And like I said, just on go all the time. You need to leave time for resting your mind, your body, your thoughts, and laying them down. So I would say overdoing it.
Go ahead, Lexi.
I feel like I agree with both things that were said. I feel like a lot of people really just don't want to take the time to heal, because, like I said, it's a very hard journey. And I feel like it starts with even as big as actually unforgiveness. Unforgiveness for people that have done you wrong, or unforgiveness for people or for yourself, in ways that you made mistakes and you are not able to forgive yourself. But it also goes to, I feel like a lot of people are just impatient. Like was said, I feel like it's a journey where you truly have to look in the mirror, and you have to not only notice your flaws, but be aware and think like, this is where I'm flawed. Like, how can I move forward? How can I come out of this? What does the word of God says about this? And how can I move forward on letting go of these things and healing the proper way? But a lot of people think that healing, moving on is moving on and like finding something new, even if it's not a person. But a lot of people feel like distraction and time will just heal. And a lot of the times it just kind of like temporarily gives it's very temporary with when you are using other things or distractions to cover up the wounds, because eventually it always comes out again. I don't know what I was about to say after that, but yeah, a lot of people are not going to the Word of God and allowing God to show them their wounds and show them where they need to work on, and actually being self-aware. And it takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes a lot of humility and humbleness to be able to heal. And that's where a lot of unhealing goes and stays, because there's so much pride and there's so much unforgiveness in this world. And a lot of people see themselves better than who they truly are. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Dakara.
So I'm gonna answer. Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna answer the first question. I feel like some wounds that might still affect how I love others is the relationship with my dad. I like I am slowly like progressing and like kind of seeing things for how they are. So I have been changing on this specific wound that I have. But growing up I didn't have the best relationship with my dad. Like I knew him, but it was like a bond thing. Like we didn't bond, and I kind of just like I didn't get that fatherly love that I needed. So when I did start dating, I feel like I was looking for love like in the wrong way. In a way, I was kind of just looking for that male attention, like that male love. So even if say a boyfriend would like do me wrong or cheat on me or anything like that, I would still try to like give them chances just because of the simple fact that I was just looking for love. Like I just wanted somebody to talk to me, tell me good morning every day, tell me that I'm pretty, just simply coming from a man, because I had an amazing mom. Like she would be that one to uplift me and do those things that I wanted, but it was just like I wanted from like kind of a man, like a male figure. So looking for love, I always kind of look for the wrong things, except for looking for it like in the God aspect, which I've been working on, and I feel like me doing that has changed so much. Like I'm not in situations that I was in before, or like just things like that. Like I'm not gonna keep talking too much, but yeah, that's like overall the aspect of that first question for me.
Yes, thank you, girl, for sharing. That was good. That's really what I was trying to get at. Like a lot, some of us was talking about people in general and generalizing a lot of things, but I really wanted y'all to talk about you specifically. That's what the question was. So yes, that was really good. I do appreciate you for being vulnerable and sharing that, because I feel like a lot of girls actually kind of go through the same thing that you were kind of talking about. And one of the things that I really actually want to get into was the family dynamic, kind of. I guess you can say we're going to talk about that a little bit in the roles in the household, because I feel like that is a huge thing, and that is why some of our relationships are the way that they are, because of, like you said, like not having a father around, or even if you do have a father around, is he like a good role model? You know what I mean? Because some people have fathers, but like, is he actually, portraying a stand-up father, or what a man should, you know, represent or look like? And that's actually one of the slides on here, because I really wanted to get into that, and I actually want to get into that a lot more on um, our third session. So thank you for sharing that. That was really good. All right. I don't really, this is still on healed a little bit, but yeah. When two people have spent time growing, when two people who have spent time growing individually come together, they form a partnership that reflects God's design for unity and collaboration. It is the same principle we see throughout Scripture. We are stronger, wiser, and more effective when we work together. Share the work, share the wealth. And if one falls down, the other helps. Relationships work the same way. When one person is weak, the other person provides strength. When one is discouraged, the other brings hope. Again, the goal isn't perfection, it's partnership. True love requires humility and selflessness. It asks both people to think less about how their actions elevate themselves and more about how they elevate each other. That's called unity. And unity doesn't mean uniformity. It means two unique people choosing to work in the same direction, anchored in shared purpose. That's where that equally yoked comes from. That's what togetherness looks like. Two people committed to learning, growing, and serving alongside each other. It's believing that we are better together, not because either person is perfect, but because we are both willing to keep showing up and building anyway. And I kind of want to, like, in the beginning, I touched on kind of like, does that other person feel safe, warm with you? Can they, can they see the benefits of your relationship with God? And like I said, that goes for both men and women, because I feel like instead of working together or trying to think about what we can build together, people are just kind of trying to see, well, what can I get from you? Not what can we build, but what can I get from you? You get what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like that's also where we go wrong. That's kind of what Marnie was talking about with the society thing. Like, oh, can I just get sex from you? Or can I just get money from you? Or can I just get status? Or, oh, she look good. If she with me, then I'm going to look good. Like, we don't, that's not the point of a relationship. It's not just what can you do for me or one or the other. It's supposed to be working together. And I think I'm going to touch on that. I don't know which slide it's on, but like, what is a man, whatever a man is supposed to do and a woman is supposed to do separately, when y'all come together, it's supposed to be, I don't know how to explain it, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like, men got certain things that they do or gifts that they have or what God has called them to do, and the same for women. And when you come together, it's supposed to fit. It's supposed to grow bigger. Yeah, something like that. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. Dakar, did you want to add something, or was your hand still up from the last question?
Yes, it was. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. All right. Okay, yes, this is the slide that I've been waiting on, y'all, because I really wanted to get into that, but we're going to touch more on it next session, hopefully. Okay, relationship roles. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 through 10 says, two people are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. That's not just about companionship, it's about partnership. It's about having someone who fuels your mission, not distracts from it. Right? Okay, so y'all see I got the men, the woman and the men, but it's barely nothing in it because I kind of wanted y'all to help me fill it out, because I feel like we get confused. Everybody is like, oh, a man needs to do this, a woman needs to do this, a man needs to do this, a woman. But I feel like that is kind of tainted in a way. Like, what are the roles in the household really supposed to look like? And I feel like we need to kind of figure that out so we can get our houses in order, especially for, like Marnie was saying, our black community, black people specifically. What is the role supposed to look like? Because I feel like even the people before us, they haven't been good role models. Like our grandparents, our great grandparents, like we don't really see how it's supposed to look. And I feel like that's by design. They want to take the man out of the household, lock him up, whatever the case may be. And then the woman is there with the kids. All the heavy burden falls on her, and she has to step up and she has to do all the things, but then she's supposed to be quote unquote submissive. but she's been dominant for so long. She's been holding it down for so long. Then you want her to just submit, and then you want her to submit to a man who hasn't had a proper um, male figure in his life, and he doesn't know what a real relationship is supposed to look like because his mom has never been in a good relationship. So how is he supposed to be the dominant one and lead, and he don't know how to lead, but he wants the woman to submit? That don't make sense. So let's come together and figure out how is this gonna work? What are we supposed to do to make the household productive?
I got something I want to say.
Okay.
I'm driving right now, and plus I'm with my mom and my dad right now, so y'all know I got a lot to say
Oh,
on
okay.
this
We only got like 10 more
subject here.
minutes, but go ahead.
And when I tell you, so for instance, just a briefing, you have these men where they want the candy, the flowers, the cards. They want you to pay all the bills. I literally was working 2 jobs and going to school. Wow. You get what? He had his 2 days off, 3 days off. Where was his days off spent? They wasn't at home with the kids. Then I'm literally helping the kids with the homework. I'm making sure this bill is paid, that bill is paid, this bill is paid. Cleared out my whole 401k when we was renting the house just to make sure that we was able to still stay in the house. Oh, I got a lot to say
Lord.
on this particular subject here. But like I said, I got my mom and my daddy with me right now. So, yeah, when we get ready to come back on this comment on Monday, be prepared.
Yes, please share. And then you can also, if you, well, you said you was driving, I was gonna say you could type it in the chat. But if you're driving, yeah, we're gonna definitely get more into it on Monday. Devon, I'm glad you. Wait, were you done, Denise? Okay. If you have anything else to say, you got raise your hand. Devon, I'm glad you had your hand raised because I definitely want to hear from a male. I tried to get more dudes on the call, but I guess they sleep. Yes, please share your experience or what you have to say about the roles and stuff, and what can women do for men as well, and not just what men could do.
I'm gonna be real honest. Me personally, I grew up in a all women household. I know that's really like the case for a lot of people in my generation that's like around my age, like 21, 20. So I grew up in a house full of females. My pops came around, like he was in my life, but he wasn't. So it's like I ain't really know what a man was supposed to really look like in a household. And as I got older, like I seen that if he ain't really learned how to do it, then I probably wasn't gonna learn how to do it from him. You get what I'm saying? And that's why it's really important that a lot of us have people like uncles and, you feel me, older brothers or whoever the case may be, because we might not always be able to get that from our father. I know I ain't get it from mine. And I love my pops to death, but yeah, pretty much. I believe that nowadays, I just feel like it's a generation thing. I feel like everything is like repeated history. I feel like it's times where marriage is very strong, and then I feel like it's times that it's not. I feel like now we in like the era of where it's a lot of men that will do both. It's men that will not do a lot and expect the women to do everything because that's how they've been raised. That's how they've been cultured in their household. And then I believe that it's men who want women to, you feel me? It's women who want men to do everything. They want them to pay for this and to pay for that, all because of what they have or what they feel like they giving up. You get what I'm saying? I believe that in life it should be a mutual exchange between a relationship. I feel like it should never be one over the other. I feel like it should be a way to meet halfway on everything, whether that's bills, whether that's this, whether it's that. Now, if you a man who's able to take care of everything in the house and you a man who able to do that, then that's amazing. But I believe in the society that we in, if you lack of certain things that we have in order to thrive in our society, it's hard for a man to be what they was back in the day. And even back then they found a way. But all I'm saying is that they have better examples. I know that like it's really hard to find a handful of good men that are fathers nowadays, you know what I'm saying? But that's all that I was gonna say. I don't want to take up too much time.
No, so what? So how do you think the household should be ran? Like, what should that look like? Like, what do you think a man is supposed to quote unquote do, and a woman?
I feel like a man should show. Well, are we saying between the relationships? Or are we talking about as in setting examples? We talking about between a man and a woman, correct?
or the household in general, I guess. I don't know.
So I'm
Well, you
saying
can say- you can say in a
because I know
relationship.
I ain't never had the right example. So I could say if it was a kid in the house, I believe that a man should never let his kid see his like that lady being treated a certain way, or a lady handling more than she should, or certain arguments. I feel like it should always be a base for a man to show exactly what it is that it should be: responsibilities, handling things like emotional control, like things like that. I know me personally, I got a real issue with controlling my emotions. Like, you feel me? I feel like that's a real thing in today's world. I believe that really a man should never like let nobody really see him down or whatever the case may be. Not saying that they can't be emotional, but I'm just saying based off of my life. You feel me? I can't really go based off a lot of people's situation, but yeah, I just believe that they should show everything that's like the norm, like even if it's for pretend. Because in later in life, I believe that it's a bigger aspect to it. A lot of people can't pretend for their kids, they can't pretend for their household just so that everything is okay. But I believe that even if you gotta pretend to make sure that your kids see the right thing, or if you gotta pretend to make sure things get taken care of, as long as it's getting handled, then I believe that could be a form of doing it the right way too.
You said a lot that I wanted to kind of touch on. One, I feel like men should be able to be emotional and be open about how they feel. That's where that communication comes from and that trust. Like, I don't think that a man should go, because I know men go through a lot of stuff, and I feel like sometimes that kind of gets swept under the rug. And I feel like they should be able to properly process and communicate their emotions, but they don't see that growing up, like you said, and society tells you, like, oh, a man got to be this, a man got to be that. That's also where a woman, I feel like, is supposed to come in, because since if a man is doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, he's leading, he's being the head, he's fighting and protecting and providing for his family, and he's still, supporting his kids and his woman or whatever, a woman should also be able to lift him up and comfort and support him, because we are more emotional beings. So I feel like that's where that hand in hand partnership goes in. If they think logically and they're the hands and they're, more physical, hands on, then a woman should be able to be there for him emotionally and support him in that way. I also don't think that, I get what you're saying, and I do agree that parents, regardless, should portray or teach their children right. But the moment you have to fake it, I feel like we then took some steps back, because we just disregarded everything else that we talked about. Because if you have to fake it, then that means that your foundation is not steady, and you built something on a shaky foundation. So of course it's not going to work. So I don't know. That's a conversation, like, that's kind of going backwards. But I was watching a YouTube video. I put the link in the Telegram, and then also kind of put it on the first slide, about Stephen Darby, and he was kind of talking about the relationship roles and the men and the women in the black household, and the different roles that they have. And like we were all saying, they all should really be working together. Like, sometimes we can give 50-50, and I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about pouring into your relationships. It's supposed to be equal, but some days a person may only be able to put in 30%. So then the other person, man or woman, got to pick up that 70% for that day or that time or that season or whatever, and that's okay. Sometimes it's going to be 60 and 40. But like we were really saying, it's really a partnership. So clearly this is going to be our last slide. We could pick up Monday. Real quick, Marnie, did you want to add something? I did see your hand up before we close out.
Yeah, real quick. This definitely is a lengthy subject. We definitely gonna have to probably be on this for a nice little minute, but not in a bad way, in a good way. I feel like I agree with everything everybody said, as far as, especially you, Ken. 50 don't exist. It's a partnership. You know what I mean? So partnerships don't always look like 50-50. I also feel like a person can't give what they haven't been exposed to. Now, you can go and get mentorship and get up under somebody and grow. But these two boxes, I can only give you where I am mentally. I can only give you what I've been taught. So a lot of times we get set up, we upset but you have to look at the whole totality before you even step into that situation of the exposure part. Not just, I like him, he makes me feel good, she makes me feel good. You got to look at her family, his or her family dynamic, where they come from, how they parents treat each other, what their family looks like. Is this a bare tree or is it a fruitful tree? All of those things are going to come into this marriage because it's an educational basis, the environment that the person has been in. And so they can only give you and be and produce what they have been taught and around. And that's facts. And so a lot of these things are, I mean, it's what I know or what I don't know. And then we haven't even gotten to my own emotional situation, like my own deficit of growth as an individual. You know what I mean? Let alone as a partner. So I'm going to cut there because that can go in depth. But a lot of the things that a lot of the young people have said shows that even observing their surroundings, you know what I mean? A lot of times we feel like we're hiding things as a parent. And you're not hiding things. You know what I mean? They still hear. They still can see and observe. They know right from wrong. They might not know the depths of things, but they know this ain't right. But it's like one of those things, do as I say, not do what y'all see. But a lot of us do what we see versus what has been said. So I'll just cap right there.
Yes, I didn't even see y'all in the chat until now. Dakara, I definitely agree with you saying the competition between men and women or the negative look on men. You said that a long time ago, but I definitely agree. Yeah, ooh, and then he said his people thought he didn't see a lot. That y'all, yes, we're gonna come back to this too. Yeah, pretending doesn't work. I agree with all this. Sometimes I can't see y'all messages. Y'all could just raise your hands, talk, but this is good too. This is good too.